I've been delivering pizzas for a while now, and I've had my fair share of weird customers. But this delivery wasn't just weird, it was downright terrifying. And it's something I have no idea how to explain, even to this day. But I'll give it my best. It started out like any other shift. Around noon, I got an order for an address a few miles outside of town to a small farming village about 45 minutes from the pizza shop. The other drivers hated going to these places because of the distance and the dirt roads, but I actually enjoyed the scenery. Plus, I'm not sure why, but all of these older farmers seem to tip very well. I started driving and eventually turned right onto the dirt road. I pulled over and entered the exact address into my GPS. 25 minutes away. Not bad at all. But only 5 minutes later, the map froze. The voice direction stuttered and a little arrow on the screen spun as it tried to recalibrate. Kinda like it does when you accidentally pass your destination. I knew I'd be on this road for a while, so I continued, giving the GPS time to work itself out. And sure enough, a few minutes later, the route was back. But oddly, the estimated time of arrival was still 25 minutes. When I looked up from my GPS screen, something was different, and my relaxed vibe had changed. What was a sunny afternoon a few seconds ago now seemed like dusk. A reddish tinge illuminated the horizon. An eclipse, I thought. A solar something. I'm a delivery driver, not a scientist. My nerves relaxed when the town came into view, a few miles up the road. I drove past the old farmhouses and waved to a few residents sitting on their porches. I guess they were enjoying this weird eclipse. I approached the last house on the road, but my GPS said my destination wasn't for another mile. Strange. I could easily see a mile down the road and it seemed empty. But a couple seconds later, I emerged over a small hill in the road and to more houses. Old houses. Peeling paint, sagging porches. The streetlights flickered like they hadn't been maintained in years. But here's where things got even stranger. The houses looked the same as the ones I had just passed. Older, more run down. When the man answered, I was completely caught off guard. He didn't say anything, and he almost had zero expression on his face, except for maybe a faint look of surprise. My heart rate increased as my eyes met his. They were completely dark. No iris, no whites. They looked like marbles, if I'm being honest. That's what came to mind. Even stranger, he had no hair, no eyelashes, eyebrows. And worst of all, it didn't even look like he had eyelids. His skin was pale white, and his lips barely pink. No wrinkles, no blemishes. It looked like wax. Without saying anything, he mechanically reached into his pocket and handed me 3 $20 bills. Older bills. Ones that were no longer in circulation. I asked if he wanted change, but he just stared. Not blinking, not moving, just holding the pizza in his hands. Feeling uneasy, I thanked him and turned around to head back to my car. To my shock, there were 3 people standing in front of it. Not right in front of it, maybe 15 feet away, just staring at it. I opened the driver's side door and tried to fake a nervous smile and a nod. My heart was pounding and I felt the adrenaline rush into my veins. My nervousness increased when I looked out my windshield and noticed they all had the same blank marble eyes, dead expressions, and waxy skin. But when I reached into the ignition to turn my key, I didn't feel anything. It was gone. Not there. I know what you're going to say. Why would you leave your keys in the car? It's a bad habit, it is what it is. I'm not perfect. I frantically checked my pockets, the seat, the floor, just in case, but nothing. My stomach dropped. I looked up at the house. The man was still there, still standing on the porch, pizza in hand. Suddenly, lights started to turn on inside of all of the houses nearby as people appeared in the windows, watching. You guessed it, the same uncanny eyes and waxy skin. A wave of cold panic hit me. I threw the door open and confronted them. "What do you want? Where are my keys?" They didn't react. No change in expression. No shift in posture. They just took a few steps closer. They wanted something from me, but I'm not sure what. Then, an impact on my right shoulder that threw me off balance and almost dropped me to my knees. The force felt like I was hit by a bus. My entire right shoulder and arm went warm and numb as I turned around. It was the guy who I had just delivered the pizza to. In his hand was a large hammer. For the first time, I noticed a faint expression on his face, almost a look of panic and surprise. He wasn't trying to hit my shoulder. He meant to hit my head. He kind of struggled as he started to raise the hammer again. It was like a child trying to do it, a weird lack of coordination. I ran. I sprinted into the nearest house that didn't have any lights on. It looked vacant, even more run down than the others. Slamming the door behind me, it was empty. A thick dust over everything. Not abandoned, empty. Like no one lived there. No furniture, no smell. I quickly peered through the kitchen blinds as more figures were gathering outside. Dozens now. They weren't knocking. They weren't saying anything, just staring and calmly walking closer with their hands at their sides. I ran upstairs looking for something to defend myself with. I opened the first door on my left and went inside. The room was completely empty, but just as I was about to leave, something caught my eye. On the middle of the floor, there was a pile of driver's licenses, and beside that, a pile of keys. I fell to my knees, sorting through the keys, and sure enough, there it was, my key fob. As soon as I was about to stand up, one of the IDs caught my eye. I recognized the photo. Confusion hit me like a ton of bricks as I realized it was someone who used to work at my pizza shop. A guy who had substance troubles. He never returned from his last delivery. My manager called the police, but they assumed he had just skipped town and decided to capitalize on a free pizza before he did. I peered out the window onto the street. There were even more now, almost completely surrounding the house. Behind them, my car was sitting untouched. I noticed a small gap in them. It was too far for me to jump down, except there was a small roof sticking out over the front door that would dampen my fall. I wrapped my fist in a jacket and punched out the thin glass window and dropped down onto the entrance canopy. A few had gathered just below me. I pushed off the roof, clearing them, and hit the ground hard. All of the wind left my body from the impact, and I almost puked. I got up and didn't even look back. I just sprinted to my car, got in, and peeled off down the road. In my rearview mirror, I could see all of them flowing back onto the street behind me, staring as my taillights illuminated their empty faces. I looked down at my GPS to enter the address of the shop, but to my horror, the arrow was spinning again. Just like it was on my way here. Moments later, it stopped and my ETA appeared on the screen. 45 minutes. When I looked up, the sun had returned, and the houses looked new again. My shift was over, but I didn't know what to do. Call the police? Like they'd believe me anyway. I just drove home. I tried to process what had just happened, to make sense of it. The next morning, I scoured Reddit looking for anyone who may have had a similar experience. I found several subreddits talking about disappearing roads. Then my phone dinged with a delivery notification. Horrified, I noticed it was for a house in the same town I had just been to the prior night. Just as I was about to click decline, another notification appeared. Accepted by William, another delivery driver at my shop. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing. In the comments, let me know if you've ever had an experience with disappearing roads before. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.